Let's bring in Soupy Campbell, who's always excited, of course. But David, you got the lid on? Hard to see.
Yep.
There you go.
Right there.
The elk is out of the bag, Dave.
How about that?
Look at that.
There it is.
How's it going over, my man?
It is.
How's it going? How's it going over?
Good. It's good. Yeah, it's good, man. It's good. It was quite the day yesterday, I'll tell you. It was fast notification that they were going to do this yesterday morning. I did know the day before, but it was a phenomenal event. And honestly, I think a lot of people might have been surprised of how well it went and maybe how they felt after the presentation. I was in that boat because I wasn't sure how I would honestly feel about the official name change, but I think the presentation went very, very well. There's still a lot of people that are always going to be stuck with the, it should always be the Eskimos, and it'll always be the Eskimos to me. And I think that's okay if you respond to it the right way. But I think there's some people that just won't accept the change, and they're probably going to get left behind. But it was quite the day yesterday, and it was nice to be at a public event too for the first time in a while, long time. So here we are, Edmonton Elks. It's a new era.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of questions coming in from our viewers. I said to Darren in the break, whether it's Kraken gear or Edmonton Elks or whatever, I can't believe how geeked up people get about team names and jerseys and logo. It's awesome. It's because you and I do. We all do. But, it's just people really interested in it. And one of the viewers here, Random Glenn, says, are they keeping the EE? I see a helmet over your shoulder. I think that is that. Is that going to be a third logo for the?
That's an old one. Yeah, that's an old helmet. So here's the deal. The primary logo is the antler horns, okay? They are keeping the double E logo. Chris Preston, the Elks president and CEO, said yesterday that the double E logo will make an appearance on the helmet, maybe in a third jersey setup. And we haven't seen the full uniform yet. And we know the colors are staying green and gold, but we don't know what the jersey will look like. And I think it's a really strong possibility we see the double E logo somewhere on that jersey. And I think that was teased throughout this process, is that the double E logo stays, not be the primary mark. So that is definitely going to be true. The elk antlers on the helmet with that yellow, and that's a gold helmet. I think this one looks a lot more yellow. That's going to be the primary logo, but the double E logo is still going to be part of the setup.
Let me just say this. My only question for you is, I was on board with elk. If it couldn't be Empire, I was on board for elk. But elk, not Elks. Is there a reason why it was specifically that you know of?
I think Elks simply rolls off the tongue better. And you're right. It is a little weird. Now, the Elks organization did consult Oxford University to see if this was grammatically correct to say Elks. And they said yes. And they also consulted a linguistics from the University of Alberta. Would it be proper to say Elks? And they said yes. So it was both correct and proper. And in fact, we had a wildlife expert on our show last night. We've had him on a couple times. He's works for Alberta Wildlife. And by the way, he loves the name because he says elks is a very noble animal, very team-oriented animal, and they are nasty, especially in rutting season. But he said, yeah, elks is a little strange because it is elk. Elk is the plural. But honestly, on a sports team, elks is just fine. And I think there's people that are, the grammar police is out in full force, right? They're going, that's the wrong way to say it. But I think it's like a line in a movie or a line in a song that might not be grammatically correct. Do we really care? And I think, like you say, we get wrapped up in team names a lot. But, you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, not the Toronto Maple Leaves, right, for example. So all they do is leave the first round. But there's my day.
Hit it.
But, yes. Oh, love it. There you go. But, yes, Elks, it's a little... I think it just rolls off the tongue better, even though, it might not be proper, but it is what it is. And I think it's going to be really fun to say.
I think the marketing avenues are limitless. So, yeah, I'm proud
huge.
Yeah, proud. I said your souvenir store is going to look like a Cabela's, right? There's no doubt about that. The camouflage stuff, because that's what the Anaheim Ducks souvenir store looks like, but that's another matter entirely. So good for you guys. And the Shellbrook Elks senior hockey team, which our premier, I believe, played for, Scott Moe. Terry Simpson got his start there. I just hope they don't slap a trademark copyright infringement on the Edmonton Elks, but you're good.
Oh, no.
Now, I'm just saying.
I hope not either.
I'm just saying. So now it's time to play ball, Dave.
Yeah, I think they will. I really do. Chris Presson yesterday said the written and verbal approvals have taken place. So all the provinces have signed off on it verbally and written as far as return to play for playing and for the players. As far as the return for fans, that's separate, and that will be submitted jointly by all 9 teams. And if you look at what's happening in your province, Alberta could be restriction-free in a month. Manitoba, I hope it gets better there soon. Everywhere else in the country, it's getting much, much better. You look at Ontario's numbers today. They've had the lowest case count in a long time, so that's very good. And the fact that we saw 2,500 at the Bell Center last Saturday for the Canadiens Leafs in Game 6, and then the Leafs had 550 for Game 7 at Scotiabank, and then tonight at Bell MTS in Winnipeg, there's going to be 500. So it's a small number, but I think it's a gateway for better things. Amount of people in an indoor stadium, and we know that outdoor stadiums and outdoor settings are way, way less risky than indoor stadiums. So you're probably going to see the Ontario teams have to start later and start in the West and then have their home games later, late August, early September. That's the way it's going to probably look for the Lions. But everyone else is probably going to be in a very good position to begin on August the 5th.
Are you allowing yourself yet to do a divisional preview and battles and all the fun? Are you?
No, not yet. Because there's that seed of doubt. I am 95% positive we will play, but it's the 5% that scares the living daylights out of me because it's real, right? Because this could change in a heartbeat. But we are going the right way. Numbers are going down. Vaccine rollouts have been incredible. We're almost 60% vaccinated as a country with first dose, and now that announcements about second doses have come out as well, and that's accelerating. So, I think the prediction about a couple of weeks ago or a month ago was you wait until May, you wait till especially June, and this scenario in the positive direction, and I think that's what we're seeing right now.
From our viewers, some of the comments here. Jen says, Sask is losing masking in July, so that's awesome. James in Borden, Manitoba says, that's a damn nice hat. Mike in Toronto, Mike Blackbird says, the branding makes me want to buy a tractor.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, why not? From Random Glenn, he says, any news on the XFL? And that's where I'm going with this. Here's the thing. You're not out of the muck, Dave, as a CFL. So you play, we hope that'll happen, but you're still going to have this XFL story chasing you for a while, right? Like, that's not going anywhere either. Any talk about that in Edmonton?
Not really. I think it's more background now. I think when it came out in early March, I think for about maybe close to 6 weeks, 2 months, it was pretty much what everyone was talking about. The excitement for a season and a lot more realistic. I think the XFL are back. For myself personally, I know it's there, but I think the most important key for this league is to get back on the field. So, I don't know what's going to happen with the XFL stuff. I really don't. I think the potential is strong for some sort of a partnership or a merger. But I still go back to, I don't know how that's going to look. If you have an 18-team league and what that would look like. But I do think that there's other things that can happen for sure. But I think the focus now is let's get back on the field and play a CFL season, because that's been sorely missed by, I think, the sporting community here in Canada. We got to get back on the field here, and I think.
Monty in Saskatoon's watching. He says, where can I get a hat? Don't you love being a team broadcaster, Dave, where you're expected to answer every question from the fans?
I'm trying to remember the email address. I think it's shop goelks.com, I think that's what it is. Or go to goelks.com. There should be a link to their online store.
There you go. I mean, it would be nice for all the Jersey cities and the ultimate fan zones to just get shipped hats. You know, you could go down to your local merchandise store, but that's for people that make a lot more money than we do, David. Anything else on the CFL before I just ask you lastly on the Oilers?
No, I mean, I think it's positive to see, there's more hirings going on around the league. I know the Elks have hired back some staff, and that's good. I see the BC Lions have hired 2 new coaches today, so that's positive. You know, the Argos are still signing everyone under the sun with Chris Edwards today, so that continues. I think we're just having positive momentum here, and I think, I was wondering if there was going to be where the interest level was going to be at for a season or a desire for one. I think we're really starting to see that there's still a strong appetite for this league. Now, as far as people going to games, we'll see how that works out. But, I think there's just so many positive signs. In a month ago or even 3 weeks ago, you were like, I don't know if we're going to get this off the ground. So good positive momentum, I think, and I think we're going to see it.
From viewer Caleb Hofer, he says, "Hey, Rod, I'm late again, but I did hit the like button." Thank you, Caleb. I appreciate it. Anybody watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Helps us out a lot. You talk about positivity on the CFL thing. A lot of positivity coming out of the Oilers in their year end after being swept by the Winnipeg Jets. Just lip service, Dave, or do they feel that they are on the right track, truly?
I think as far as their mindset and their belief, they're on the right track. It does help to have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. That was, another tremendous season out of both, especially Connor McDavid. But there are holes in this lineup. There's not as many holes as, let's go back to a couple of years ago when Ken Hitchcock was the interim head coach, and they were probably 10, 12, 14 players away from being where they were at now. So now they're at this point. They're probably, 4 to 6 players away from really putting them over the top. But, you look at their roster this year, and their core players that really drove the bus here were McDavid, Draisaitl, Darnell Nurse, Tyson Barrie, and Mike Smith. Mike Smith is going to be back, it sounds like, but I can't imagine that Mikko Koskinen will be back, and I can't imagine they're going to go into the season thinking that Mike Smith can do what he did last year, next season, or this season, next season. Maybe he could, but I do think you want more insurance. I don't think it's Mikko Koskinen, to be honest with you. I don't know if he wants more than. Oh boy, they got a lot of decisions to make. I think Derry, there's a good chance he'll leave. I can't even think of the number that you would give him at this point, especially when you have some good prospects on defense like Evan Bouchard that should play every day next season. Nurse is an unrestricted free agent. Adam Larson is an unrestricted free agent. I think those are 2 defensemen you want to sign. Up front, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. This is a tough one because he does so much for you as a hockey player. He penalty kills, he's on the power play, but his 5-on-5 year was not good. And you're playing, and he played with McDavid and Draisaitl for most and couldn't produce. Would you give him more than 5.5? I don't know. I don't think I would want to give him more than that. So you could maybe get 2 players for $5.5–6 million, but they need 2 left wingers. They need a top 4 defenseman. They need another winger. They need someone on their bottom 6. You're not going to get it all in one offseason, but Ken Holland has something that he hasn't had a lot of during his time as general manager. That's cap space. There's $30 million plus available to him to go spend. So whether it's Tatar, whether that's Jaden Schwartz, Blake Coleman, Kyle Palmieri, throw in Taylor Hall, I guess, although, I don't know what's going to happen with him in Boston. On defense, there's options. Do you bring in a graybeard? Do you bring in someone like a Ryan Getzlaff, for example? Someone to help out with the they are in a good position, but now they need help to go over the top, or else we're going to be sitting here again next year talking about another first-round loss. I think they're good enough to get to the playoffs every year, but how do you win 1 round? How do you win 2 rounds? How do you get beyond that point? And I think that's the real question for the Oilers right now.
Jen from the Four Seasons says, don't even need to protect Koskinen in the expansion draft because no one will take him. LOL, says Jennifer. David, we're out of time. Great to see you. Thanks for the update. Can't wait to listen to you for real when you kick off this year.
Thanks, buddy. Good to see you again.
Thank you. David Campbell, color voice of the Edmonton Elks.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.